Let's talk about Dhul Qarnain. Don't be scared because we can. Before we start, I would like you to consider this relevant ayat as we progress. Surah Ash-Shura. Verse 42-33. If he wills, he makes the wind stop blowing, and then they lie motionless on its back. These are certainly signs for everyone who is steadfast and thankful. Bad. To proceed. It worries me when modern Islamic scientific historical theories and opinions don't want to refer to the literal historical and scientific truths as stated in the Quran. I am a simple abd who believes in the kalam of Allah. Literally. It is impossible for its meaning ever to be out of context. Rather, we from mankind and jinn of this modern age have been excluded from the comprehension of its historical timeline. We are out of context. It seems the believers are ready to explain away the contextual narrative of the Quran in favor of focusing on the modern interpretations and translated meanings, whose foundations no longer follow the methodology of the first three generations of Islamic scholarship but rely on modern Western scientific theories and evidences that are mass-produced and presented as fact, whose origins came out of Babylon with the Majus and the union of other secret societies, whose agenda is destined to play out until the descent of Isa, Yeshua, Jesus. Now let us try and narrow down the reasons why the two epochs, the two Qarns of the Prophet kings, David and his beloved son and heir Sulayman, are the two most likely candidates to the identity of the mysterious Dhul Qarnain. Dhul Qarnain here is a man who has been given a gift from Allah that no man has been given before him. He has access to everything. Let me reiterate that one more time. He has access to everything. Yet he chooses to travel on the epic journey of the cycle of the sun. Why? Most of the contemporary scholars refuse to reveal their personal interpretation of the topic. Reasons may be that they believe it is not beneficial that the contemporaneous generations of the followers of the Prophet should fully understand Al-Quran. Some scholars are of the opinion all we know is what's already been understood, which makes it seem that those believers who come in later generations that have been spoken of by Allah and His Rasul would not be able to read into it something revealing, something from our individual or as a group to our contemporary time, place and circumstance. Firstly, let's look at the description and qualities of Dhul Qarnain as recorded by the ayat of Quran Kareem. And they ask you about Dhul Qarnain?
I shall relate to you from what has been mentioned about him. Verily we established him in the earth, and we gave him the means of everything, so he followed away, until when he reached the setting place of the sun, he found it setting in a spring of black muddy water. And he found near it a people. We said, O Dhul Qarnain, either you punish them or treat them with kindness. He said, As for him who does wrong, we shall punish him, and then he will be brought back unto his Lord, who will punish him with a terrible punishment. But as for him who believes and works righteousness, he shall have the best reward, and we shall speak unto him mild words. Then he followed another way, until when he came to the rising place of the sun, he found it rising on a people for whom we had provided no shelter against the sun. So it was, and we knew all about him. Then he followed away, until when he reached between two mountains, he found before them a people who scarcely understood a word. They said, O Dhul Qarnain, verily Gog and Magog are doing great mischief in the land. Shall we then pay you a tribute in order that you might erect a barrier between us and them? He said, That in which my Lord has established me is better. So help me with strength. I will erect between you and them a barrier. Give me pieces of iron. Then when he had filled up the gap between the two mountain cliffs, he said, Blow. Till when he had made it fire, he said, Bring me molten copper to pour over it. So they were made powerless to scale it or dig through it. Dhul Qarnain said, This is a mercy from my Lord. But when the promise of my Lord comes, he shall level it down to the ground, and the promise of my Lord is ever true.
Here are a few eschatological questions. 1. Why did Dhul Qarnain travel to the setting and the rising of the sun? Why did Dhul Qarnain make his incredible journey east and west? What were his motives? Did Dhul Qarnain make a map of his route? Why would Dhul Qarnain not make a map of his journey to the ends of the earth? At this point we need to digress. We have now to mention our father, prophet, and messenger, Ibrahim alayhi salam. He observed the sun And after watching its cycle, he knew it was not to be worshipped. Surah Al-An'am 8:78. In the morning, when Ibrahim saw the sun rising, he said, "This must be my Lord. This is greater." But when the sun set, he said, "O my people, surely I am free from your shirk. I have sincerely turned myself to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not one of the polytheists." Without a doubt, when we discuss the reality of Dhul Qarnain, we also have to discuss the reality of the sun. They are synonymous with each other. As two are the young men in the cave. When Allah speaks of the miracle of Al-Kahf, He not only refers to the sleeping young men, but He highlights the miracle of the sun in detail. Surah Kahf 18:17. And you would see the sun when it rose, inclining away from their cave on the right. And when it set, passing away from them on the left, while they were within an open space thereof. That was from the signs of Allah. He whom Allah guides is the guided, but he whom He leaves astray, never will you find for him a protecting guide. Here are, to my mind, the most standout qualities of Dhul Qarnain. What was given to him was access to all that was before him. The entire earth from two easts to the two wests. He was given the command and judgment over all of mankind. He was Al-Khalifa. He had the skills to work with iron, hadid, and copper, kitr. He was compassionate and merciful. He was a victorious leader of armies. He was a great leader of men in war and not in war. He could travel anywhere on earth. And always reached his destination. Addendum. Did Dhul Qarnain make a prophecy? If he did, was it Nubuwah? Or was it Ilmham? Now let's compare some of the wondrous attributes of Khalifa Dhul Ard, the prophet and messenger, King David. Before we start, it is important to remember a very significant point of fact that is often overlooked. That David's son, Prophet Sulayman, inherited the kingdom from his father. Not that it was not from Allah, because it was. The point that I am trying to make is that of succession. The importance and meaning of Sulayman's prayer. That implies the cancellation of succession to the kingdom of David.